So if Delusions of Grandeur was a movie, it would be this one. It would most definitely be this one. Somebody help them. All three of them. Please.
I can't stay.
Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss The Rules of Attraction. Now this movie is from 2002 and it stars James Van Der Beek. Now before we get into all things disclaimers, I'm going to need you guys to start rolling up with a little disclaimer with the purchase, just so I know what I'm walking into. I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that. Then we're going to come back and discuss fantasies. How far are you willing to push your delusion to maintain whatever your fantasy may be? According to this movie, pretty damn far.
Go back.
Now that you guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me, let's get into this movie. But before we jump into the video, I have to give a shout out to the person who paid for it and requested it. So if you happen to suffer from illusions, paranoia, hallucinations, it's not because of me. It's because of this person right here. Thank you so much for supporting me and paying for this content. Now this movie was directed by Roger Avary, who is mostly known for co-writing Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, Silent Hill, as well as directing movies like Lucky Day. However, this is his most notable solo project. I did not know what I was walking into watching this movie. I really low-key saw this movie often, maybe could have caught it on cable TV back in the day, but I avoided it and wrote it off as probably another raunchy teen sex comedy. The movies we got so often between the 80s and the early 2000s that consisted of high school to college age kids. I personally call it raunchy, Caucasian, horny adolescent humor. I'm not the biggest fan. Even though I will, occasionally pull up for a good Superbad, I'm not a huge fan of these movies. Naturally, there is a whole lot of misogyny, beer, frat houses, frat parties, nudity, sexually suggestive situations, jocks, nerds, with the end goal typically being obtaining the most popular girl in school, getting her to fall in love with you and see you for who you really are, or just strictly losing your virginity. Now, was this that? Sort of, but it completely subverted my expectations and it was really elevated, dark, comedic, and drama-filled. Like, it's a lot of layers here. Then I saw the author of the Rules of Attraction book that this film is based on. Seeing author Bret Easton Ellis was all I needed to prepare myself for the type of movie I just felt like this would be. Now, I have not read any of his books, but two adaptations just happen to low-key be some of my favorite films, Less Than Zero and American Psycho. Christian Bale here as Patrick Bateman is a psychotic yuppie nightmare, and the performance is iconic. What's real, what's delusional, we may never know, but the ride on the way there is absolutely exhilarating. And I could say the same for Robert Downey Jr. in Less Than Zero as Julian, this clingy, desperate rich kid in need of more, but turning to drugs in the height of the crack era, becoming an addict to later be controlled by a villain as we watch his ugly, vicious down spiral. One of my favorite Robert Downey Jr. performances, especially since it's sort of a life imitating art situation with him actually in real time battling with his own addictions. Like, if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. But both books and adaptations have so many similarities. Dark, set in the 80s, themes of consumerism, excess, maniacs, death, drugs, despair, depravity, a warped perception of reality. This movie here didn't spare on any of that. Now, this movie is more of a character study on human interaction, so we meet a lot of people here, starting with Lauren. Now, why this movie had to punch me in the face, literally 5 minutes of me turning it on, I have no clue. Like, Lauren reflecting on college, encounters, parties, roommates, and most of all, her virginity, all while obsessing over Victor, who we desperately saved and wanted to give our virginity to. However, we are settling for the NYU film student that is currently in our face. Now, even though her inner thoughts and reflection is screaming, I am in complete control of the situation and I just want affection from anybody, her physical body looks completely inebriated. Lauren in no way is in control of the situation, able to give consent, or is even well enough to be aware that this film student hasn't stopped recording her since he met her, even though she thinks that they are about to be intimate. However, once she passes out, coming to only find out that he is recording her as she is being taken advantage of by a different student as he essays her and then eventually vomits on her. Now, as disturbing and disgusting as the scene is, Lauren doesn't verbalize it in a light that shows any grotesque for it. She is more so romanticizing it as for what could have been if it could have been Victor. It would have been special. Instead, it just so happens to be this. In fact, I always knew that it would go this way. As if it's something as simple as misplacing your car in a large parking garage, a completely warped perception of what her current reality is, which is pretty much the running theme for every single principal character here in this movie. Everyone is entertaining their own delusion, their own fantasy, living in their very own world to avoid dealing with their everyday reality. Everybody is actually in desperate need of human connection, love, and intimacy. Now, the editing choices here in this movie, I could see being a whole lot for someone, especially like myself, going in not knowing what to expect. But it does lean heavy into the idea of something being off with this fairy tale land that they are living in mentally. We really want that feeling of warped perception, so we get a lot of freeze frame, split screens, time reversal, fourth wall breaks, and inner thought commentary. People can literally be occupying the same room, talking directly to each other, not listening to each other, and thinking completely different thoughts. Everyone here has false heightened expectations for how they feel they come across to others, how they are being perceived, and they in turn project their thoughts and their feelings onto other people, often unwarranted. It's the equivalent of you standing next to me at Starbucks and going, hey, let me get a coffee. Not even talking to me. Oh, you said you love me? Oh, thank you. I love me too. Come on over since you're so in love with me. Girl, ain't nobody checking for you. I ain't even saying that. Now, next up, we meet Paul. Poor little sick love puppy, Paul. Even though I felt sorry for Paul because he is a young gay man who is really going through these scenarios of unrequited love, him wanting somebody and them not wanting him in return. But it also feels like he is suffering from just strictly wanting forbidden fruit or wanting a challenge. Even though there are clearly other openly gay individuals on campus, Paul seems to go out of his way to seek out gay boys who may be closeted, may have had a secret situation in the past with Paul, but as he approaches, they would prefer that he keep his distance. They find him repulsive. I can't be seen with you. If so, somebody might think I'm gay as well, or I might be outed. Or Paul just might so happen to be pushing up on a man who is not even gay at all. He just perceives him to be because he sees somebody that he's attracted to and wants them to feel the same way about him. Mentally creating dates, imagining sex, romance, damn near a whole relationship with this person. When Sean may have simply said, sure, I'll, drive you to the bus station. I'm not doing nothing. Sure, I'll grab a bite to eat with you. Like, it's whatever. Like, oh my God, he loves me so much. I should just, what are you talking about? The connection never happened. This movie does a really good job at getting us into their delusions and just how far they go. Even though they go pretty damn far, you can't help but kind of feel connected to it, because I'm just like, damn, have I done anything remotely close to these type of situations? Sometimes when you really want to dive into escapism, you will create situations out of thin air. I need endorphins. I need happiness now. I will take companionship anywhere I can get it. Even though the entirety of this movie, you never actually see anybody embark on real opportunities of enlightenment, intimacy, any type of close relationships, period. It's just all a mental thing. Meanwhile, in reality, everybody is promiscuous as hell. There is sex literally every 2 minutes in the movie. There is drugs constantly. Merely the most surface level, shallow conversations that you would ever want to hear. Because if anybody was really trying to interact, really sober and really looking for anything, it would never, ever be Sean Bateman. Let's talk about Sean. I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. I want to know right now, what will it be? I don't want to wait. Okay. So open up your morning light and say a little prayer for... Okay, let's get into James Van Der Beek here. Sean Bateman as a character is supposed to be the younger brother of Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, and it very much so shows. Now, I could have actually done without that. I don't know what was all related from the book to the movie, but even though all of the psychotic tendencies are clearly there, we see the bloodline. It didn't really do a whole lot to take his character over the top or to enhance anything for me. Though you see the draw with how irrational his behavior starts to become towards the end of the film, or even when we get into his inner thoughts and complexities, just his speaking voice, it has that deep isolation to it, to where you can almost hear him say something like, I am simply not there. I gotta return some videotapes. Damn it, I gotta go. You see it, but the character still could have and would have played the same if we did not connect him to Patrick Bateman. Now, even though Sean refers to himself as an emotional vampire, he is a downright super sociopath, preying on women amongst other people, lying, manipulating them. And even though we are one of the hottest drug dealers on campus who has a little bit of everything, when he is not speaking on himself in third person and mentally trapped within his own mind, he is often killer psychotic tendencies with a death stare to match. It literally makes you wonder, why would anybody trust or want to be alone with him? It's definitely not our three main characters here. Every single person on this campus is lost, bewildered, and turned out. Now, Sean, throughout the whole movie selling drugs on campus, also owes this erratic dealer by the name of Rupert, who comes off like this addict with PTSD from the war. A loose cannon who would probably shoot Sean for way less, even though at the moment he currently just owes him $3,000 that he claims he can't pay back. Now, Sean being the brother of Patrick Bateman leads me to believe that he isn't at all hurting for money, talking about he was brought up on a farm and he's a struggling college student like no, you are absolutely not. You are a rich, privileged kid like everybody else. So why feel the need to sell anything on campus when you don't have to? Selling gives him power and autonomy over desperate, addicted people. as well as invites everyone on campus to know exactly who he is and what he does, giving him purpose where he feels like he has none, not succeeding at school, not really having any drive, just simply partaking in his everyday debauchery on campus. So what if I'm taking all of these drugs from this dealer, selling them, not really giving any return on anything? What's the worst he could do? Beat me? Shoot me? I might actually enjoy that. At least something would be happening in my life. I would go as far as to say it would make his hard. By the way, speaking of hard, I really needed Rupert, and later on when we are introduced to Richard, aka Dick, I needed them to tone it down like just a little bit. I needed those two actors to tone it down a little bit, even though I knew that they were both supposed to be extremely high-strung and unapologetic for who they are. It was a lot. It was a whole lot. I was really low-key waiting to get through those scenes, even though they could have been easily contributing to that warped perception yet again, just like the really dark yet humorous scene of a student overdosing and Paul's just pretty much not giving a whole damn. Like, that whole little scenario from Carter Hospital was really, really funny. Could he have been ODing? Absolutely, but in Paul's mind, as well as everybody else being so self-absorbed, I could care less. Now, things slowly start to change for Sean once he realizes that he has a secret admirer who has been watching him. In depth describes his daily interactions with other females and really just boasts about how she is the perfect candidate to be with him, how much she longs for him. These really deep, reflective letters, leaving Sean to finally feel like his purpose is to want more and be with the girl who is writing these letters. However, he connects the wrong dots and feels like our Lauren is writing these letters because they met one time, had one brief connection, maybe shared a little chemistry. She merely introduced herself and walked off. This is my person, this is my lady, this is who wrote these letters. But in actuality, his admirer is the food service girl that we don't even bother to give a name to in the movie. She never actually says one real word of dialogue outside of these letters to Sean. In the meantime, feeling rejected, unnoticed, oh, he isn't reciprocating the love that I am giving to him with these deep, thoughtful letters. But how could he? He doesn't know that it's you, even though you are constantly longing and lingering around watching. You've never said one freaking word to him in real time, in real life, and Sean can barely see beyond his own nose. So, Now, I am not even gonna save it because I really low-key want to get it over with. With food service girl feeling like she is at her wit's end and he has not noticed her for the last time after she has written so many letters and have yet to have gotten a response. She is literally waiting for Sean to run up to her, kiss her, make love to her. All the while, he doesn't even actually know that she exists. Once again, getting into those delusions of grandeur, you know, the warped reality. As I said, it's not just our three principal characters. It's pretty much almost everybody that we meet on campus. However, she takes this a step further and decides to unalive herself. It is very graphic. There are, several graphic scenes in this movie. But that one there, for how many scenes that I have seen reflect those type of situations, it is like shot in such a poetic way, with her disrobing, removing everything. There's, an intense attention to detail, and unlike most movies that would cut away at a certain point, we don't cut away. We don't linger in it, but we do actively show it. And I was really surprised because, we've seen scenes like this multiple times, but I had never seen it done in this way, or I had to look away. But in looking away, it is really intense representation of how far somebody's delusion can push them and what can really eat away at a person due to isolation, loneliness, and really dealing with their own inner thoughts, not even giving anyone an opportunity to interfere or change their mind, dealing with everything inward. It's a reflection on mental illness. Like, don't just think that everything here is just strictly promiscuity and drugs. A lot of these are coping mechanisms for way bigger problems. But now that that's out the way, let's discuss Lara, Jessica Biel's character. She is just strictly here to be a thot. She is here to be outside, be an influencer, and be Tatiana out here being like the P in the permissive. She's the P in it. Now, we don't get as many layers and time with her characters as we do our other ones, but we do see that she is also longing for a deeper connection. But meanwhile, we are finding our worth in how many guys find us attractive, how many guys we can get to sleep with us, how many guys can I convert to find interest in me to want to sleep with me and not prefer my roommate, Lauren. Putting up this sex positive front, meanwhile, we were gonna cry in the car after the deed was done because that's all they want to use me for. Yeah, girl, then why did you lay down? Because Lara doesn't know herself beyond her body and what she can physically offer, which is why she was as equally obsessed as Lauren was to keep her virginity and hold on to it for the likes of the precious Victor, as she was to get her to get rid of it. Girl, what are you holding on to it for? Unleash it. Sleep with this person, that person. It's really not that big of a deal. Just have sex with Sean. Meanwhile, we are going to try to have sex with Sean behind her back, and we are already currently and probably been sleeping with Victor also. Now, even though Sean eventually gives into temptation and sleeps with Lara, all the while he is treating sex like some disjointed, dry transaction. Child, like what? Like, oh, I just did not see the attraction, honey. He did not want to at first because he was equally obsessing over Lauren in comparison to her because she was a virgin. He perceived her as better, innocent, safe, sweet, deserving of everything that he's not willing to currently give to anybody that he allows into his bed. Only problem is she isn't all of that, and she is also not the person writing him these love letters. Lauren is currently giving top to this seedy, disgusting professor to maintain a certain GPA in his class. She is dangerously optimistic, uninformed, childlike, and a little naive. Because if we weren't, we could see clearly how sick and perverse this professor is, how he is using her. Stay away from the likes of Sean, who would rightfully punch her best friend roommate in the face as soon as he gets upset, along with Victor, who was never ever anybody's prize, getting into self-absorbed. We do have a complete cutaway of Paul meeting up with his mother and childhood best friend Richard, from the looks of it. I could have done away with that whole segment. I really could have. The most I did take away from it, because there was something to take away, Paul has just been high strung over the fact that everybody on campus so far that we have seen him try to attach himself to in a relationship, romantic, sexual way, if they were gay and actually liked him, they were in fear of actually coming out of the closet and saying so. However, Paul has yet to come out of the closet to his mother or parents or anybody himself, outside of the people on campus who just know Paul and knows that he's gay. Nobody else does. You can clearly see that he has shared a lot of his first situations with his best friend Richard, who is clearly openly whatever to everything. Now, in the end, distraught Lauren, who catches Sean sleeping with a lot of the scenes here with them were just downright laughable, because it's like, y'all don't have a relationship. Y'all don't know each other. Y'all have absolutely no connection, but we are playing out these things like some type of soap opera. But we do have Lauren be the one to find foods. I hate calling her food service girl, but I know that's there to show just how insignificant she was to the people around her. She finds her body, and of course this hurts her, but we have Lauren finally wake up and maybe realize, you know what? I don't think Sean is the right guy for me. Like, Sean literally attempts to take himself out multiple times through multiple forms, treating the S word as if it's a plaything, because that's just the type of sociopath he is. As if we are claiming to love Lauren and I want to be with her, but we would subject her, seeking out attention, to believing that she has rolled up on yet another unalived body. Basically playing dead. Like, that is her wake-up call to go, you know what? I don't need, like, are you freaking serious? It should never have taken all of that. All the way with like maybe 10 minutes left in the movie, we finally get an interlude, an introduction from the Victor. The one she claims is her ex-boyfriend. The Victor whose picture she stares at and obsesses over, sitting on a nightstand in her room. The introduction of Victor is different from everybody else's. Not only is it brief and really fast pacing and talking, but we get a handheld vintage throwback recording of his travels backpacking through Europe, which, you know, pretty much equates to sex, food, drugs, the same debauchery that we are getting into on campus. But what's different with this situation is that this was the actor in real time recording strangers that he is having interactions with, you know, physically in the club, here and there, and them just pretty much putting it in this film. Something that we could definitely not do today. But Victor, in the end, had no clue who she was. Victor had absolutely no idea who she was the entire movie. I don't know why I didn't see that coming with the pattern of every single one of our characters. I think I just wanted so badly for Lauren to be a little sane. She is so excited that he has returned from Europe and, oh, let me just go and give myself to this individual. Has no idea who she is. Doesn't even know her name. This has all been in her mind. Now, of course, this devastation and heartbreak leads to the events that we see in the beginning of the film that we eventually reverse back from to see where it all started. But in the end, I feel like all three of our people got wake-up calls. We have the likes of Paul return back home, just waiting and longing for his date with Sean, when he meanwhile didn't even know his damn name and was just waiting for Lauren to fall in love with him. He finally wakes up and realizes, you know what? Maybe he doesn't want me. Maybe he doesn't love me like I love him, and he hasn't been waiting and longing for personal dates and interaction the way that I have. You think so? We finally get there. We have Lauren sadly experience what she did in the beginning of the film and actually finally digest the fact that Victor doesn't know me. You know what? Nobody really knows me. Girl, come on around the corner. Come on around the corner. This whole relationship that I thought we had was all in my mind. And of course, Sean had to end off his situation with a bang, endangering his life, as well as some unsuspecting customer who just really wanted to cop a couple of drugs. Oh no, we gotta go and cause a whole scenario and cause a freaking shootout that could end in death for absolutely no reason. This was the scene that you really got to see the Patrick Bateman pop out. I thought when he grabbed the weapon in the kitchen, he was gonna say, hey Paul, like I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know how far that was gonna go, but the fact that he would even do that set that situation up. A customer trying to go with him to get drugs when he already had them could have just handed them over. Them asking for that $3,000 or your life when we could have just easily given $3,000, but we chose not to. We chose to sell. We chose not to collect any money. We chose to create chaos just because we can and we like to do so. Sean seems to be descending into something darker beyond where he already is, that is more mirroring the complexities of his big brother. We don't know where he's going on that motorcycle, but child, we really don't want to go. I feel like he's going to collect some bodies. The body count is about to rise. But in the end, it almost kind of also ends on an ambiguous note to where you maybe feel like, well, did they really decide to wake up? Are they all really having a revelation? Or will the likes of Lauren and Paul wake up tomorrow still obsessed with a new person? You really just never know. But I tell you this, the ride getting there was insane. Well, you guys, that was my review for The Rules of Attraction. I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop down and tell me what you thought about it. Have you ever seen this film? As I said, this was my first time. I did read a few of the comments. I did see that a couple of you guys did see this film, so I would love for you to chime in on my commentary. I know with just the posting of this movie, I spoke on just my love for you guys purchasing different things. I like these type of movies. Well, you know, I like them, but it's like, oh. I like that it pushes me as a reviewer to really not be stagnant and verbalize my thoughts on more of an intense subject matter than some of the things that we do get here. So I do appreciate you guys so much for that. And I just also love all of the things that you guys purchase. Like it's always gonna be a bop. It's always good. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Remember to leave your commentary below. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I look forward to reading your commentary below. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff because it helps me out so much. I see you guys next time. Bye.